Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we are looking at the Creative Beast Studio Cyberzoic Achillobator Giganticus. This is one of the first mounts for Cyberzoic in the first wave. I am very excited about this. The Achillobator and the Utah Raptor were sort of my favorites from the initial offering. The Achillobator is, of course, from the first wave, with the Utah Raptor coming in a future wave. Yeah, very excited about this. Don't have the armor yet. Don't have the action figures that sort of go with these to sort of complete the Dino Rider type setup that we're gonna have. But the mounts that I do have already, and the other dinos, the Beasts of the Mesozoic, and other figures that I have from Creative Beast Studio are amazing. So I expect nothing less from this guy. Let's take a quick look at the packaging before we get them opened up. The Cyberzoic boxes I really like. They've got a little bit of a shape to them, so they don't just have square corners. 3 out of the 4 corners have this angle to them, with the 4th corner being just sort of a normal corner, which I think is just a nice touch. Like, it's a little bit different. It stands out visually from just a normal box, and it's a little bit different than their other lines, so I appreciate that. You get a little bit more detail to this box compared to some of the other some of the other Creative Beast boxes, with the a little bit more in terms of design and in terms of kind of stuff going on here. You get Cyberzoic at the top there. You get the Fire Clan logo here. This is, of course, a Fire Clan mount. The art on the front there, unarmored, without a rider. I believe the armor set comes with sort of the full picture. So very excited about that, as I said. Have I said that? Of course I have. Nice big cutout window, so you can see most of the Achillobator there, and there's a nice big cutout on the top as well, so plenty of light gets through there. You can see inside very well. On the bottom, a bunch of folks that were involved with Cyberzoic there, and just some other random bits and pieces on there. We get the Fire Clan logo on one side. On the other side, you get that art again, and then on the back we get that's sort of the full art that I was talking about. So you got the Achillobator with the armor, with the rider, and of course complete the Razorhound unit. There you go. You got the Razorhound armor as well as the Fire Guard, which I can't wait for. I think they should be here soon enough, but stay tuned. I'll probably review those when I get them as well. You get some information about the Achillobator, and you get a picture of the actual figure there as well. So pretty straightforward packaging. There's nothing wild or crazy or different about the packaging, but it's not about the packaging. It is about this figure. So let's get this guy out of the box. All right, so here's the Achillobator out of the package, and this looks beautiful. I have the Beast of the Mesozoic colorway for this, but I gotta say, this is, for me, in just sort of my preference, this is a way nicer looking figure. Just a quick comparison to the Mesozoic, or the Beast of the Mesozoic version. There she is there. A lot more black. There's some sort of dark gray, whereas the new one is a dark brown. There's some beige, some tans and things like that on it. The heads are painted quite differently as well. Let's just focus on the Cyberzoic one here. The head is painted beautifully. I mean, a bunch of different tones and shades and shapes. As I said, you got a bunch of shading on the bottom, different colors. Still looks dark and menacing. Definitely a darker brown than the Utah Raptor, and I would say still very sort of menacing with the more bald head versus the feathered head of the Utah Raptor. But an absolutely beautiful figure. It moves very well as well. I have the other one, so I already knew that, but I mean, you got great articulation in the neck, in the head. Keep it big wide open jaw. Articulation in the arms as well. You can kind of move them out so they're almost more like wing shape, or sort of wing position. Just makes sense. I mean, they kind of look like wings, even though they're not. Plenty of articulation in the leg, at the hip, at the knee, the lower knee, and the ankle. So you're going to be able to get this thing posed up pretty well. Nice bendy wire tail as well. So that, of course, will pose up very nicely. And if you're going to pose this thing once and put it on a shelf, I think you're going to probably spend hours coming up with the perfect pose, because you can kind of get it into just about any pose you want. But if you're going to play with it, if you're going to put the armor on and get the rider on there and play with these and sort of run around the living room with these, with your kids, as I intend to do, I like that I can pose it up and sort of get it into different poses and sort of more menacing and less menacing and more alert. Get them in a nice, more upright standing pose. Or, this is the pose that I've got my other Achillobator on the shelf, this really low kind of attacking pose. So yeah, you got plenty to work with there. As I said, absolutely beautiful paintwork on this one. Much more interesting and dynamic, I think, than the Beast of the Mesozoic version. Now, this beauty does also come with a few accessories. So let's take a look at the accessories. First up, we've got an instruction sheet. This is pretty simple, pretty basic. This is what you're going to find with just about any Creative Beast Studio dyno. This is, some of the articulation scheme. This actually talks about the adjustable stand as well, which we will take a look at in a moment. Talks about, heating up the tail, I think. Does it say heat up the tail? Yeah, I'll apply low heat for full movement and for attaching tail. There you go. Recommended. I support that recommendation. 100% I would recommend that as well. Then, of course, as Creative Beast Studio, I think, always does, we get this beautiful art card. And my nitpick here is that the art, I think, would have been better suited if it went that way, just because you get this sort of profile that kind of takes a chunk out of the art. But, I'm not complaining. The other side is more important. So this is, of course, as we've seen in the last few releases, a Zoic card. So, the tradable, collectible, card game that Creative Beast Studio is doing, coming soon to Kickstarter, I believe. This is actually a playable card. So not only is it an art card, but it's also a playable Zoic card, which I think is very, very cool. I'm super excited about the game. I can't wait to back that Kickstarter. And then, as I said, we get the base. So these bases used to come painted, and so you get that clear base. But then we get this new base, this more universal base. Super, super easy to use. You just take the base, pop that in there, and then on top of that, you can use these adapters and sort of adjustable pieces, and sort of find just the right pose and support the Achillobator from below. So I figured that you can kind of use one wing to sort of make it almost like a tripod. So you're using 2 feet and a wing to balance it pretty easily. But if you want to use that, you can sort of get the wings up. You can get it in a more upright position, almost, a leaping pose or something like that. The new base also comes with a sort of foam mat that you can actually stick on there as well. So if you want it a little more non-slip, but then the base is effectively black. So, this has a adhesive side to it. You can stick it on the base and use it that way. But then your base looks a little bit different, with that black. Still looks great. I prefer them without the bases, so I prefer to kind of tripod them like this. But, do what you like. They're your toys. Then we get a set of alternate feet. So he comes with a more flat foot on there, but then there's another set of feet with the toes up. One other thing to mention about these feet is that raptor claw is also articulated, so you can get a really nice, cool pose with sort of the toe in attack mode if you want, which I think is pretty cool. So there you go. There's the accessories. I'm going to get this thing posed up a little bit and sort of give my overall thoughts. Overall, this is a fantastic figure, one that I would strongly recommend. A great dinosaur figure. It's going to be a great mount. I think this works really well, you know, in the 1/18th scale that it's designed for. You know, this is a 1/18th scale Achillobator. But, you know, if you're doing Mythic Legions or Marvel Legends or G.I. Joe or whatever, I think this kind of works in a 1/12 scale as well. So if you're kind of looking for a stand-in for a Jurassic Park style raptor in a more scientifically accurate version, or just a cooler version in a lot of ways, you know, with the feathers and stuff like that, and the posability, this is a great figure and one I would definitely recommend picking up. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you don't want to miss future videos, hit the bell icon to get notifications. Till next time, bye-bye.